Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here. So, got a little rain time today. It's starting to rain, so I decided to go ahead and take my lunch and tell you about my little pocket survival kit. Let's get it. Got some of my favorite things in the world for lunch. Fried chicken gizzards with hot sauce and mustard. Boy, that hot sauce is working. Got my eyeball sweating. Guys, I want to go ahead and apologize. There's a lot of noise here. The traffic and the road go right up there. So I apologize if there's a bunch of road noise in the background. You heard me right. I said my pocket survival kit. How can this be a survival kit? It's so small, you know. But I've got the 5C's in this little pouch, plus a few things. And you might not believe it. So this is my little Tough Possum Possibles pouch kind of thing. I'm going to open this thing up and I'm going to show you all the stuff that I've got in it. And you'll see that I have the 5C's in here. Now this is not a camping pack. This is a redundancy to my regular pack. And I'll tell you why I carry it. So this is not going to be a comfortable camping setup out of here, obviously. This is for an emergency. But why would you need to carry it in your pocket and not just have it in your pack just as a redundancy? Well, my idea for this was, what if you had camp set up and for whatever reason you decided to leave camp, maybe you grab your fishing pole and you hike down to the creek or the river. And you've been fishing down there, up and down the river, and you're finding all these cool little holes to fish up and down the river. You spend a little more time down there than you thought you were going to, and all of a sudden, it's starting to get dark on you, and everything looks the same, and now, for whatever reason, you can't find the trail that you came down to the river on. That could be a pretty bad situation. I could have this little pouch in my pocket, and I could set up a little camp for the night. It wouldn't be comfortable, like I said, but I could set up a little camp for the night. I could survive, and in the morning at first light I could start scouring the bank to find that trail that I walked in on. And so that's why I decided to go ahead and make one of these. I could just drop it in my pocket, or a lot of times I wear cargo shorts, so I could drop it in my side leg pocket and never even really know you got it. So let's go ahead and open this up. I'll show you everything I carry in here, and then I'll kind of go through why I carry it. And I got something kind of interesting in there that you're going to enjoy, so stick around for that. Alright, first up, let's talk about combustion. So in my little kit here, I have a little Bic lighter. And my little Bic lighter is wrapped with some duct tape. And something I want to tell you about this duct tape. When you set up a lighter with duct tape on it, put a little tab on that duct tape. Just a little tab on the end of it. That will make it so much easier to get that duct tape off of there if for whatever reason you're compromised and your hands aren't working like they should. Low circulation, cold weather, whatever. That little piece right there is going to make it a whole lot easier for you to get this duct tape off of there. Now, along with helping you get your fire started, that little piece of duct tape right there has many uses. It can help you repair a piece of kit or clothing, and it can also be cut into strips and used as butterfly bandages in case you get a bad cut. But first out of the pack is this little Bic lighter, and that covers our combustion. Alright, so next out of the kit, we have candling. So this is a tiny little flashlight. This is just a little Cabela's one that I got from Bass Pro Shop, and I've got the batteries turned around in it backwards right now so I don't accidentally turn it on. But this is not going to put out a ton of light, but it works good to go in this pack, and it would help you in a just emergency situation. So this little flashlight here is our candling device. So now we got combustion, we got candling. Alright, so next up out of the kit, we have our Cordage. I've got 3 6-foot hanks of number 36 bank line. This is the tarred mariner's line. And this is very, very useful. And 6 foot of it can be extended if you break this thing down into 3 individual strands, if you can see that. So if you broke that thing down, they would be strong enough to tie up a shelter if you had to with it. You could also turn that into a little piece of fishing line, or there's a number of things that you could use this for. You can also shred it down and bunch it up and use it as a flame extender. And so that's number 3 out of our kit is Cordage. This is our 3 hanks of bank line. All right, so we've got Combustion, we've got Candling, and we've got Cordage. We need cover, right? So here I have a blaze orange poncho. Now I know what you're thinking, why wouldn't you use an emergency blanket? And there's a good reason for that. I just couldn't find an emergency blanket that was small enough and compact enough to fit in this kit. But the other reason that I decided to use this poncho here is because it's blaze orange. Like I said, you could use it for signaling, and it's 50 by 80. So that's 4 foot by, what's that, 4 foot by 6.5 feet. So it's big enough that I could just throw it over as a poncho if I had to and just sit down and try to stay dry. Or I could always turn this thing into a tarp shelter. It would be small, but I could make it work just for an emergency situation. Because remember, like I said, this is not a camping kit. This is just an emergency overnight kit. So number 4 on our list is this little poncho. Here comes that rain I was talking about. Might need that poncho here in a minute. I love the rain. I love the rain, especially on like a tin roof like this. So it just dawned on me, I have 6 C's in this kit because I have 2 more C's to go through. The one that I have added is my little candling device. So next up on the list is something that's not actually in that kit, but something that I always carry on me, on myself, in my pocket when I go in the woods, and that's my cutting tool. It has become standard for me. Every time I go in the woods, I throw this Victorinox Ranger grip in my pocket. That has become the standard for me now. I may not always have my belt knife on me. Sometimes I'll have my new neck knife on me, but I've always got this Ranger grip in my pocket. And there's a reason for that. It's got a really nice, good sized blade on it. That blade stays razor sharp too. And on top of that, it's got this little saw on there. Now it's not huge, but for, you know, 2-inch size pieces of wood, it works great. And I could use this to get enough firewood to get me through the night. Now I'd have to sit there all night and feed the fire, but chances are with this kit, I'm gonna be up anyway. So this is an addition to that kit. It's just not in that kit. Now I bet I know what you're thinking. How in the world can you have a container in that kit? How can a kit this small have a container in it? Well, I kind of struggled with that myself, and I thought about, you know, well, maybe I could get a small water filter, maybe a Sawyer Mini or something to go in here, but it was just too big and too bulky to go in here. I couldn't use a live straw or anything because that was too big. So I got to thinking about it. What could I use to make a container to boil water with? Tinfoil. Tinfoil. I have about, there's a little over 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet of tinfoil here. And that's enough to make a container to boil water and have clean drinking water overnight with. And it may be a one-time use thing. It might be something that you could use a few times before you got rescued or found your way back to camp. But tinfoil is how I'm going to make my container. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. Now this is a pretty bad storm, and it keeps blowing wind in here pretty hard. I hope it's not too bad on the video because I don't have the mic adapter yet for this new camera. So this is my new camera that I got. Shout out to all my patrons and everyone that gave money for the new camera fund. I really appreciate it, guys. It would be hard to make videos without this new camera, and all your support is what made this thing happen. So I truly appreciate your help. But what we're going to do now with this tinfoil is I'm going to open this tinfoil back up. I've got it folded down really small. And now, depending on how you use this, you might be able to make a couple of containers to drink out of with it. But as you can see, shoot, I bet I've got close to 4 feet of tinfoil here. So we're going to go ahead and just tear this in half. And we'll only use half of this. And even that may be more than we need. But we're only going to use half of it right now. And we'll save the other half. Fold that back up and save it. Now, if you really wanted to stretch your tinfoil and make it go further, you could actually tear this down one more time. But for durability, I'm going to go ahead and fold this over so it'll be double layer thickness. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to make a fist, and I'm going to put it right in the center of this tinfoil, and I'm going to make a cup right around my fist. Now, if we had to, we could stop there. You could fill this thing full of water and set it in the fire and boil it. But, you know, there's a chance that it might come apart and it might unfold under water pressure. So we can take these edges and roll them down and reinforce that top, clamp it together. Now you're going to have a smaller cup, but that's okay. You can boil more water more often. You're going to be sitting there with nothing else to do anyway, right? So we can do that, but there's also a step further that we can take this. You're going to go locate yourself a stick that's a few feet long and the diameter roughly the size of your pinky or a little bit bigger. And this needs to be a green stick. So we're going to go ahead and take it, cut the limbs off of it. Alright, after you got it de-limbed, you're going to take this thing down to about roughly 2 feet or so and just go ahead and cut the end of it off. Something like that. Now, we're going to start somewhere halfway or a little more than halfway, and we're going to start whittling this stick down to make it about half thickness or even a little less than half thickness. Alright, so this part's going to take some patience now. We're going to go along here real easy. You may hear some cracking, but try not to break it if you can help it. And we are going to work this around. Don't get in a big hurry now. You got time. We're going to try to work this around until we can get it back around to lash it to itself. So we'll get us a piece of cordage out. Doesn't have to be super long. I'm actually going to break this cordage down just to make it a little nicer and neater looking. This is an unnecessary step. This is just, I wanted it to look a little neater. Plus it leaves you with 2 other pieces of cordage that can be used for something else. Alright. So now we've got this one tiny piece of cordage on here. I'm going to take and make a little slip knot on this end of it. Just like that. Something like that. Now, as you can see, mine did want to break on me. But that's okay. I'll make it work. It's no big deal. But we're going to take this thing and curve it around. And we'll bring these 2 pieces together like that. And we're going to do a little whipping on it. And this is just down and dirty fast. This is not anything fancy. You could get a little fancier with it if you wanted to. I may have to do a little whipping here to keep that piece together. Now if you needed to, you can cut this and heat that and lock it together, and then it's definitely not going anywhere. So, if I was going to have to use this thing, I would probably go ahead and start over and get a different piece, because this is trying to break here. But for demonstration purposes, this will be fine. So what we would do now that we have this thing put together like this, we're going to take and weasel our little cup down inside it. Somewhere down inside it like that. And then we're just going to fold our top over it. Just like that, guys. Just like that. So now you could easily take your little cup, set it over the fire, boil some water. You can handle it without having to stick your hands on the hot tin foil. Pull this thing back out of the fire, let it cool down for a few minutes. You got something to drink coffee out of. I need to put coffee in this kit. So just as simple as that, you got a little container that you can actually boil water in, and it all fit in this little pack here. Got a couple of more things in this pack I'm going to show you, but that covers our 6C's, I guess. So this is a pretty neat little container here. I may make one of these in the future a little bit better, just to test it out and see how it works for sure. But I know that you could boil water in this, and I'm pretty happy with that as a container. Alright, so I got a few more things in this kit, and these were just things that I added that I thought might be helpful. I have a Wazoo fire card in here. This little thing works great to help you get a fire started. It's a tinder card, so you actually just scrape pieces of this off, and it will take a spark from a ferro rod. It burns like crazy. If you had to, you can burn the whole card, which I wouldn't suggest doing that. Prep your fire, and then you're good to go. But yeah, this would make it super simple. You wouldn't have to run around and hunt for a fat lighter or anything like that. You just got this emergency tinder in your kit. I also have a whistle in my kit. This is a little titanium whistle. It doesn't weigh anything. It doesn't take up any space. And you and I know that you can blow this whistle a lot longer than you can scream for help. So if for whatever reason you're out there and you're hurt and you set yourself up just for an emergency, you could blow this whistle and hopefully somebody else in your camp would hear it and come find you. Remember, 3 blasts, wait. 3 more blasts, wait. That's the signal for SOS and I need help. So I got this little whistle in the kit. Next up, I've got one little Band-Aid in there. I don't even know why that was in there. I think that was just kind of a joke. I have this little wrap of duct tape. Again, doesn't take up any room. You could repair your kit with it. You could do first aid on yourself. You could use this to help wrap up a splint if you had to on a broken leg or arm or finger, what have you. So I've got a little wrap of duct tape. Now, last up, I've got this tiny little compass, right? Tiny little compass. Now, what is this compass good for if I don't have a map, right? Something we're going to talk about in the future, but something that I feel very strongly about is anytime you're going into the woods, if you're going into hike this trail or anything, you need to look at that map and you need to find a backstop. And a backstop means like, okay, even if I have to walk 5 miles through here, if I continue walking this particular direction in 5 miles, I'm going to hit a road. I'm going to hit a trail. I'm going to hit the river, what have you. You need to look on a map before you head into an area like that and make sure you at least know your backstops. 2 backstops is better, but if you at least know one and know the direction you have to travel to get to that backstop. So if I know I have to go north to hit that backstop, then I know if all else fails and I cannot find my camp, if I turn and I find north and I just keep traveling north, at some point I'm going to hit that road and then I'll be able to walk out to safety. So, alright guys, so there you have it. This is my little pocket emergency kit. Throw this thing in my pocket every time I head out into the woods. And I know I've always got a backup to my backups. And if all else fails, I've got a way to survive overnight. So I hope this kind of shocks your imagination into maybe thinking about putting one of these together for yourself. I do suggest the little Tough Possibles pouches. They also have them that will hook to your belt. And the little pouches are great, and Tough Possum are great people. So I'd love to see you make one of these kits. And if you do make one, or if you already have one, send me a message through Facebook on our Rewild Outdoors page and send me some pictures. I'd love to see them. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next week.